Good evening, welcome to North West Tonight with Annabelle Tiffin. Our top story, warnings of a rocky ride for Andy Burnham if he runs in the Gorton and Denton by-election. The Greater Manchester Mayor is being linked with the seat left vacant by Labour's Andrew Gwynn. Also tonight, the shocking statistics behind Merseyside's drug driving figures. 35 to 44-year-olds account for almost half of arrests. Last orders for an Everton stalwart. The Winslow Hotel closes its doors months after the Toffees said goodbye to Goodison Park.
I thought, OK, mate, we'll see how the first league game goes. And then it was inevitable after that, when the turnout was so bad for the coaches, that it'd be a matter of time before we would have to call it a day.
Turning out for the Traitors, a sellout event for hundreds of fans as the hit BBC show reaches its finale.
And in sport, we'll have news of the potential departure of a Liverpool legend and why fans at one of our clubs are considering boycotting their match tomorrow. Join me later in the programme.
Now, the clock is ticking fast for Andy Burnham if he wants to be considered for the vacant MP seat in Gorton and Denton. The Labour Party has said that any elected mayor who wants to stand must apply to its national executive by 5 p.m. tomorrow. For others who are interested, the deadline is midnight on Sunday. Today has seen continued speculation over his intentions, but also warnings it could be a huge gamble that would damage the party. Eunice Muller reports.
For Andy Burnham, a huge decision on whether he should try and return to Westminster. Don't rush to conclusions, he said yesterday, and that he was in the dark about Andrew Gwynn quitting his seat for health reasons. But that's not ended speculation, and this warning today from a fellow MP.
Andy's entitled to be ambitious, but this isn't the right opportunity. As a sitting Manchester MP, I don't want to leave the back door open for reform, to have a go at getting the morality of Greater Manchester. I also think there's very high risk.
We've got to work on a plan, a proper plan to beat reform.
It was the reform threat that led the Greater Manchester Mayor to go public last year with his criticism of Labour, and which also led to a suggestion he had his own ambitions for the Labour leadership.
We'll take on anybody that comes to that seat. You know, the north of England is now our heartland. It's been the Labour Party's vacated those people, and we think we speak to those people and their needs more than any other party.
Sir Keir Starmer's supporters are seen to control the party's ruling national executive, and the NEC would have to draw up a shortlist.
Labour Party might not select him. You know, this is, in by-elections, the centre of the party is crucial, and there'll be a lot of negotiation about whether to put him on the shortlist, how the selection's going to run. So it's huge. It's hugely risky for him.
There are questions over how popular he would be with Labour at Westminster. One Labour source has told us there are around 50 new MPs who have little experience of working with Andy Burnham. Another Labour source has told me there could be factions that would emerge and a civil war within the party. Hannah Spencer is the leader of the Greens on Trafford Council, but also stood for mayor.
There seems to be a lot of mind changing, which, you know, to an extent we can understand. But I think what is really obvious here is it's career politics, isn't it? And I think that is what people are sick of. And this explains why I'm here, why people are voting Green now, because we're normal people.
Labour won Gorton and Denton with 51% of the vote. The Conservatives and the Lib Dems came a distant 5th and 6th.
I think the voters of Gorton and Denton deserve people focusing on the issues that matter to them rather than all of this media speculation about who may or may not be a candidate for another party.
Andy Burnham didn't make his intentions public today, but did cancel all his engagements. To give him more time, you may think, before we're all told this time tomorrow. Eunice Muller, BBC North West Tonight.
And we will follow that story with interest. But let's get a roundup of some of the day's other news now. And a wastewater treatment works in Cumbria is a significant source of faecal bacteria in the River Kent, according to a study. Members of the public working with scientists took samples which showed human waste. United Utilities said the Staveley treatment site worked as designed, but that a multi-million-pound upgrade is underway. The number of free NHS-funded IVF cycles available across Greater Manchester has been reduced to 1 to avoid a postcode lottery. One was already available across 6 boroughs, while Tameside offered 3 and Salford, Wigan and Stockport 2. The Fertility Alliance charity has called the decisions cruel and deeply damaging to people trying to start a family. And for the first time in more than 40 years, Merseyside bus services have come back under public control. Stagecoach will now operate the routes in St Helens and Go Ahead in Wirral. Now, the problem of drug driving is getting worse across the country, particularly among 35 to 44-year-olds. New figures show that age group accounted for nearly half the drug driving arrests made in Merseyside last month. Officers say they're putting their families and careers at risk, as Andy Gill reports.
The December crackdown on drug and drink driving is called Operation Limit. It takes place across the country. Today, Merseyside Police revealed what their operation uncovered. And of 460 people arrested for drug driving, 200 were aged 35 to 44. Officers say these are people with potentially a lot to lose.
I think it's down to people taking more chances, more risks, but these are family people. These have got careers. There's a huge risk in around taking drugs. It's your driving licence. People need their licence for their careers. You need to be able to be employed. If you get arrested for drink or drug driving, you could lose your job, you lose your career, lose your family, lose your home.
Merseyside say they're the most proactive force in the country for cracking down on drug driving, and the statistics reflect that. 460 arrests for drugs compared to 191 for drink driving. In Greater Manchester, there were slightly fewer for drugs than alcohol. Elsewhere in the northwest, the arrest numbers were lower, but again, drugs were a bigger problem than drink. There are other striking aspects of the figures released today. The fact that more than a fifth of those arrested had previously been detained for drink or drug driving.
About a fifth people have got previous convictions and arrests, and we want to reach out to them and offer them the support that they need to maybe get rid of any habits that they have, stop taking drink and drugs to excess, or don't take drugs at all, obviously it's illegal, and then not be caught out by us and have your licence taken off you.
Cannabis is the main issue in drug driving, followed by cocaine. Merseyside Police say a significant number of those arrested for drugs or drink drive for a living. Officers plan to write personally to repeat offenders to tell them about what help is on offer.
We know we can't arrest ourselves out of this problem. We don't just want to do enforcement, we want to try and help people. Ultimately, I can reach out to people and say, you don't want to lose your licence, you don't want to potentially lose your job, so we will reach out to them and offer them that support that they can get that's free in Merseyside, there's free support.
Although these figures are for the Christmas period, police say they'll be going after drug and drink drivers throughout the year. Andy Gill, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
Now, the A&E department at Royal Bolton Hospital has introduced a surgical triage unit to try to ease pressures. It means patients who need emergency general surgery for conditions like appendicitis or abscesses can be seen there and possibly go home the same day. Kelly Foran has been for a look around.
We've all heard of or even experienced the waiting around in A&E. At the Royal Bolton Hospital, like many other emergency departments, it could be a long wait. But over the winter, they opened a surgical triage unit for patients like Linda, who was sent to A&E by her GP.
I was scared because I thought, where are they taking me? Am I going in another waiting area? But it wasn't. I came up here into a bed.
Within just a few hours, Linda was on a ward and had been diagnosed with gallstones.
Because I was in so much pain, you do dread going to A&E, don't you? You know, anybody does, but no, it was brilliant.
Hello, hi Linda.
Hi, okay.
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Good. You've just had your scan done.
I have, yes.
We're just 3 surgical disciplines, so general surgery, which tends to be everything abdominal, and then we have urology, which deal with everything to do with the kidneys and the waterworks, and ENT for acute airway issues. We'll see them, assess them, and make a decision on whether or not they need to be admitted, in which case they go to one of our surgical wards across the corridor, or we can discharge them and manage them on an ambulatory basis if possible.
So logistically, where are we from A&E?
We're almost directly upstairs. So we have 2 sets of elevators which are just across from us here, so they're straight upstairs, so it's about a 5-minute transfer.
The medical director at Royal Bolton Hospital says they're always looking for ways to ease the waiting lists and the pressure. Even with this unit, though, for much of the last week, this hospital and its services has been at the highest point of escalation, which means they've been experiencing the most significant pressures.
Is this enough, would you say, because A&E is still overwhelmed this week here?
There's still more we can do. We're carrying out procedures and operations in a same-day environment, so people are coming in even as emergencies and being discharged the very same day, which usually wouldn't happen, which means we can keep people flowing through the hospital back out in order to maintain the capacity needed for emergencies coming through.
The consultant on the unit says so far the patients are spending less time waiting around.
What we found is that our length of stay has been reduced by about half. So prior to this unit, we had a length of stay of around 1.5 days for an acute admission. We're now looking at about half a day for an acute admission.
The signs on the walls and the doors here may be temporary and show what this space was, but they're looking to make this a permanent solution. Kelly Foran, BBC North West Tonight in Bolton.
Some more stories being read in the North West this evening. The wife of a man seriously injured after being hit by a car in a supermarket car park has praised the surgeons who saved his life after 40 hours of surgery. Police say that a man attacked with an axe near the Strand shopping centre in Bootle yesterday was targeted by people known to him. That story by Paul Burnell. And a woman in St Helens says she's baffled after finding the second snake in just 10 days outside her house. A local sanctuary says 4 snakes have been found in the area. You can find out about those stories and others at bbc.co.uk/local news or on the BBC News app. Now, people living in and around Fleetwood in Lancashire are being brought together through a BBC North West Pen Pal project. Students from Fleet Primary School have started writing to a group who take part in aqua aerobic sessions in the town. Annie Knowlson has been to meet them.
Jumping and jiving. This aqua aerobics group gives people in Fleetwood the chance to stay fit and see friends. Sue Spence started taking part 2 decades ago and remembers her first class fondly.
I just laughed the whole lesson. I couldn't join in, I couldn't use the noodles, I just couldn't do anything at all.
We always go for coffee every day, and have a chat. Put the world to rights. You know, you're getting older, you need to keep fit. Fitness and just the social side, really. Everyone's really supportive.
Make sure you tell them what your name is, how old you are.
Now members of the group are getting ready to be paired up with a pen pal. They'll be swapping stories with students at Fleet School in Fleetwood, who've been busy writing their first letters.
So I started off with saying, "Dear friend," write my favourite things, and then I've asked them what their favourite thing to do is. And because my favourite thing is playing with my dog, I've asked them what kind of dog they like.
It feels weird because you're writing on a piece of paper and you don't know what the other person looks like. I put stuff about football because my teacher told me to put stuff about our favourite hobby and stuff like that.
I've not really spoken to random people, so this is a first occasion for me.
Members of the aqua aerobics group will receive a letter, and these students are eagerly awaiting a reply.
I've got loads of questions for the person that we're doing it for, and
I've told them my favourite hobbies and my favourite colour. I just will like them, like get to know them and get to like meet a new friend.
It's interesting to meet new people.
I'm just feeling like really excited to meet this person.
Bringing together communities through an old school style of communication. Annie Nolson, BBC North West Tonight, Fleetwood.
It's a nice idea, that. Now, a much-loved pub next to Everton's Goodison Park is to close this weekend because without fans, it's just no longer financially viable to carry on. The Winslow Hotel has been going for 140 years. The man who runs it says its closure was inevitable once the club moved to its new stadium, as Phil Cunliffe reports.
Standing less than a goal kick away from Goodison Park, for many Evertonians, a pint at the Winslow Hotel was as much a part of the matchday experience as the football. But not now. The game's gone, it's moved away, and the once bustling streets are always quiet. Inside the pub, it's empty chairs and empty tables, a far cry from when Everton played across the road. And now the licensee is calling time.
All it's missing now is tumbleweed. It's sad, it's very sad. Goodison Park is the soul of L4, and the Everton fans are the soul of this building. And once the Everton fans went, it took the soul went with it, and yeah, it's quite sad.
In May last year, the curtain fell on 133 years of men's football at Goodison, the club relocating to a new stadium. Dave tried to keep things going by laying on coaches to Bramley Moor Dock from the pub, but it just hasn't worked out.
We had something like 20-25 people turn up for each match, and we're putting on some little bit of food beforehand and live entertainment afterwards. We were basically on a hiding to nothing to try and keep it going. We were very reliant on the football, matchday football, 90% plus. So once you take that away, you can't replace it.
Fans like Donald have great memories of the Winslow and say that they will miss it.
Coming in here, seeing ex-players like Peter Reid and the late Kevin Campbell, you know, meeting people like that, you know, fantastic, you know, speaking to like players that you've seen on the pitch. The new ground down there is fantastic, but the pubs haven't got the history that this place has got. You know, this place has been here longer than Goodison even. They've got a lot of work to do to match what this place is like, you know.
Dave's love of Everton began as a 9-year-old when he read a book featuring Dixie Dean, whose face adorns the sign on the side of the pub. Now, legend has it that the record goal scorer was one of those Everton players that sometimes at half-time would run across from the ground to the pub, neck a swift half before returning and taking to the field for the second half. Imagine what David Moyes would think of that.
Back in his native Ireland, Dave's affections for Everton grew by listening to Radio Merseyside on his mum's long-wave radio.
It was ever so faint, but that was my love affair with Everton. And even to this day, I still remember lying on my bed as a kid with my ear to this radio, listening to Alan Parry.
Dave will pull his final pints tomorrow. Even without the people, the Winslow will be forever remembered as the People's Pub. Phil Cunliffe, BBC North West Tonight, Everton.
End of an era for many, many people there. Right, we're going to stay with sport really now, and a Liverpool legend could be on the move in after 8 successful seasons.
Yeah, he really could indeed. Andy Robertson, no less, who's been there, like you say, since 2017, actually. His time might just be approaching its end. The 31-year-old who's won almost every major trophy going as a Liverpool player is out of contract this summer and could be heading to Tottenham. Talks are underway between the clubs, which comes a few days after the left-back admitted to being undecided on his future. Since signing from Hull City, he's made 363 appearances, but has started just 4 Premier League matches this season. Liverpool are at Bournemouth tomorrow. Well, having beaten Manchester City last weekend, Manchester United could do their neighbours a favour on Sunday. They're at Premier League leaders Arsenal for Michael Carrick's second game in charge following that brilliant derby victory that evoked memories for some of the Sir Alex Ferguson glory days. Something similar against the current title favourites would arguably be even more momentous.
We've got another big game coming up, and one game doesn't change and make you a great team. It gives us a great foundation to build on. Yeah, there's a lot of confidence, there's a lot of good feeling within the group, but measured with that, you know, and we know what's coming and we've got to be ready for it.
Elsewhere, second place, Manchester City host Wolves. Burnley are at home to Tottenham. Everton, who've lost Jack Grealish to a stress fracture of the foot, play Leeds on Monday. Better news for the Blues, though, is that midfielder James Garner's signed a 4.5-year contract. In the Championship, Preston North End goes to second place Middlesbrough. Meanwhile, Blackburn Rovers now in the relegation zone after this midweek defeat to Swansea. Host Watford at what's likely to be a smaller Ewood Park crowd than usual. The Blackburn Rovers Supporters Coalition is calling for a boycott of the game and a change to the club's owners, Venky's.
The fan base are divided because a lot of the ones that would support a boycott are already boycotting. There were 6,000 through the gate against Oxford United. They announced the gate as 10,000 because of season ticket holders. There's 6,000 fans through the gate. Blackburn people are turned off, and it's been turned off through 15 years of total neglect.
There you go. Well, there's also League One and League Two action this weekend, plus the WSL, which means lots of coverage across BBC Local Radio. Here, once again, are some of the faces behind the voices.
This Saturday at 5:30 on Radio Merseyside and BBC Sounds, Liverpool look to make it 14 games unbeaten as they go away to Bournemouth.
Manchester City have lost their last 2 games. Can they return to winning ways when they face relegation-threatened Wolves? There's Total Sport commentary on Saturday from 3.
And here in Lancashire, these are troubled times for Blackburn Rovers. 1 win in 13. Some fans not going to the game this weekend. We've got their match against Watford live tomorrow afternoon.
BBC Local Radio Sport is the best, I guarantee it. 4 Sale Sharks players have been named in England's 36-player training squad ahead of the Six Nations. Among them, George Ford, named Player of the Series in the recent autumn internationals, and Tom Curry, who also played a part in those matches. We'll be speaking with both of them on the programme in the next couple of weeks. Well, the Sharks are back in action in the Prem tomorrow as they host leaders Northampton in front of what will be a big crowd at the Corpac Stadium tomorrow evening. You know, Roger Johnson goes to the same gym as Ben Curry.
Really?
Yeah, same legs, bums and tums class, allegedly.
Well, their legs, bums and tums are probably very well toned then, I can only imagine. Anyway, moving on. Do you watch The Traitors?
I don't, I'm afraid.
No?
There's not much more to say.
No, there really isn't. But we're not, and we're also not going to say too much because we don't want any spoilers, but in about over an hour's time on BBC One, it will be the Traitors final. Millions are expected to tune in to see. And in Manchester, there's even a live watch-along. Anna Jameson is there for us tonight. Oh, Anna, is it getting very... I mean, I'm very excited, but I haven't seen yesterday's episode yet. But everyone there getting very excited?
Oh, they are indeed, and what a cliffhanger it was. Annabelle, you've already said it. This is your spoiler alert. If you haven't watched last night's episode, maybe go for a cup of tea now, because it is the finale tonight of The Traitors. Millions are going to be tuning in what is the BBC's and perhaps TV's biggest show. And here at the Fairfield Social Club, just behind Manchester Victoria, they have a live watch-along as if it was a football match. My dutiful team are going to let me in. Come with me. Thank you, guys. This is the Fairfield Social Club, and over here is Jess, the woman responsible for organising this. Or should I say Claudia? You're looking very good.
Thank you so much, as are you.
Your eyeliner is perfect, smudge perfect. And this is going to be a huge event, and it's a sellout event.
It is a sellout. We had to release more tickets because we had so many people on the waiting list. So it's massively sold out, loads of extra seats. I'm so excited.
And I heard that if people dressed up, they get a free drink.
They do indeed. So you get a free drink with your ticket, and also for Cloaks and Claudia's, we're giving another free drink. So
and you're going to be hosting the quiz as well.
I am indeed. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
This is your starring role.
I know. I did 3 years at drama school. This is my TV debut. I didn't think it'd be dressed as Claudia Winkleman.
Well, anyone will do anything for a free drink. If we come over here, let's see if there's any traitors amongst us. Oh, have you... Fiona, the secret traitor, you're looking wonderful tonight.
Thank you.
How has it been playing this year's villain?
Oh, it's been amazing. I've loved being in the dark, being secretive, murdering who I want.
It's been great. And we have another Claudia here. Claudia, you've got your lantern. And you have your chest.
I do.
Which holds tonight's fate.
It does, and we're not allowed to know yet because obviously it was a cliffhanger, so you're going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to watch tonight and find out.
I have to say your outfits are amazing, guys. They really are. You actually painted your nails especially.
I did. I had normal nails until like this evening because I found out she had red nails in the Traitors, so I was like, I have to get the red nails. Red gloves, red nails, go all the way. So.
Well, you look amazing, guys. Maybe you'll win Best Fancy Dress. There is going to be the live watch along tonight, as you heard, a quiz as well. Who would you like to win?
Stephen. He's an icon. He's a baddie. He's been the underdog. He's just been amazing.
So Traitors win?
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I do think so as well. I think he's played a blinding game. I think he's like left it until the last minute and then he's swept away with it. So fingers crossed, actually.
Okay, well, Annabelle, if I get murdered in the night, you know where I'll be. At the Fairfield Social Club. I can't wait.
Well, I hope you haven't given anything away to me, Anna, otherwise you really will have to look over your shoulder. Anyway, because of that final, our late news is on a little bit later this evening, just after 11 o'clock. Right, let's get the weather now with Sarah Keith-Lucas.
Good evening. It's been a bit of a mixed weather picture over recent days, but the cloud did break up on Friday for a time. We had some blue sky, a few spells of sunshine. This was the picture in Great Budworth on Friday afternoon. As we head through the weekend, though, things are looking fairly unsettled. Not a complete washout weekend at all. There'll be some showers around at times, and it'll often feel a little bit breezy too, but certainly not as wet and windy as further towards the south and west, because Storm Ingrid is lingering out to the southwest of the UK. You can see this low pressure here. So quite a few isobars on the map, a few showers. Now, most of them are going to be to the south of us, but we'll have a few spots of rain, I think, through the course of this evening and overnight. The clouds should tend to break up a little bit through the early hours of Saturday morning, so most of us, I think, starting Saturday on a dry note with a little bit of early sunshine. Temperatures around about 5 or 6 degrees first thing. You'll notice a bit of a breeze coming in from an easterly direction. Cloudier conditions on top of the higher ground towards the Pennines, but I think out towards the west you should see a little bit of sunshine lasting through the day. So largely dry picture for much of Saturday. Might get a rogue shower here or there. Temperatures around about 8 or 9 degrees. Just that breeze taking the edge off the temperature, but not a bad day, certainly. Things are going to change a little bit as we head through Saturday night and on into Sunday. Low pressure still out towards the southwest, but we'll start to see it moving further north. This weather front here will bring a little bit of rain as it pushes across the region. Could be quite heavy first thing up towards Cumbria and again across the Pennines. Moving through the day on Sunday, though, that rain becomes a little bit more showery in nature and then eases away during the afternoon. For most of us, I think there will be a fair amount of cloud, but closer to the west coast, I think you might just see a bit more blue sky. Top temperatures between about 6 to 8 degrees, so turning a touch cooler. And then as we head through the start of the working week with that cooler air in place and low pressure often bringing more weather fronts, could be a little bit of winteriness over the highest ground. But for most of us, just an unsettled picture really for the next 7 days or so. A drop in the temperature as we head through the course of the weekend and then a fairly unsettled showery picture into next week.
And that's it from us for this evening. Sam Nanda will be here with your late news, as I said, on a little bit later, just after 11 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.